Howdy, everyone. It's Sam. Welcome back to the Wobblin Sports channel. If you're new around here, I hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. And if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. The Wobblin show on Monday nights has been gone for the past fortnight or so due to life and due to the NRL scheduling as well. Don't know if it'll even come back next Monday, considering the rounds being split up a little bit because of Anzac Day celebrations or commiserations, Remembrance Days, whatever. But tonight, round 6 is done and dusted, and I'm going to start talking about the power rankings. I'm going to start talking about the team of the week, and I am going to reveal who I would pick for State of Origin game number 1 for 2023. That's taking place down in Adelaide Oval. Just before I continue, I just want to say hello to everybody that's just starting to dribble on in. Piripia Kwasi, thank you very much. And Mr. Jason Reader, of course, thank you very much for all of your support. And I will just say, just before I go on, that there is something really exciting in the pipe works for this channel, for me personally as well, and you're all going to be a part of it as well. So I'm super keen to reveal that to you. I think it's happening next week. I cannot wait to tell you what's going down in the not too distant future. First of all, let's get into the power rankings list. Starting in number 17, of course, it's the West Tigers, locked down. They look like wooden spoon favourites, just quietly for me. Going into team number 16, the St. George Illawarra Dragons. They burnt an interchange an hour and a half before kickoff because they got the team lists all mucked up. Well, that's a bloody bugger. And now, speaking of bugger, I can't deny it. I'm so sorry. But the Cowboys, they're 15th. They've only won 2. And right now, I've got to be truthful. I've got to be honest. If I'm going to do power rankings, they have been the most disappointing side of the 2023 season. And it's been compounded today with the news that Jason Taumalolo will be missing at least 4, if not a maximum of 6 weeks. Dreadfully disappointing. Let's go into the next power rankings slot, and that is the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Look, there was about, I reckon, half an hour against the Parramatta Eels where I thought the Bulldogs, they've got a bit of heart about them this afternoon, and they could have pinched a victory against Parramatta, but just the injuries to Carraz and Avarillo in the end was just way too much to overcome. And look, dude, if Kikau played as well, if he didn't cop an injury, I reckon Bulldogs go even closer to pipping the upset. But in saying that, we go on to number 13th, and that is the Parramatta Eels. And I only have them going up incrementally or just maintaining the rage down in the lower half of the 8. Because they're just not, it wasn't even convincing yesterday. There was just a really good 10-minute, 15-minute period. The Parramatta Eels really turned on the jet boosters. But besides that, I reckon the Parramatta Eels of last year would have put bloody 50 on this Bulldog side last season. But yeah, Parramatta Eels I have in 13th. And now in 12th position, the Gold Coast Titans. A strong first half against the Brisbane Broncos on Saturday night. And really disappointing. I know that they were a man down for 10 minutes, controversially so. I think it was a really soft and strange call by the referee to sin bin Tino Fa'asuamala-Aui. But just defensively, man, it's been the question on them since the dawn of time. It's been the question on them ever since I can remember, the defense of the Gold Coast Titans. And unfortunately, it's really kicking them in the backside, even though they've copped a win over the past fortnight. They really leaked rather poorly against the Brisbane Broncos. Going into 11th position, these Canberra Raiders, man, Jekyll and Hyde team of the NRL, fair income. And the Canberra Raiders, they were pretty poor in that first half against the Dragons, and in that second half they sprung to life, scoring 20 points unanswered, or not unanswered points, but 20 points nonetheless. And going into 10th on my power rankings list, I've got the Newcastle Knights there. This one's a strange one because they're playing with men down, but they're playing strides above where they really should be. It's so fun to watch the Newcastle Knights play, and I haven't been able to say that for a really long time about the Newcastle Knights. Really good stuff. The Sydney Roosters, man, they dead set need to calm down, take a meditation class or two, and they need to start playing with a bit more respect in their game, man. They're just way too out of control, bro. However, I do understand that Angus Crichton is nearing a return, so that's going to be a huge boost. And I look, the Sydney Roosters are obviously still in contention for top four, even, but man, they're just a bit erratic at the moment, and it's sort of been the case with them for the past 2 seasons now. Going into the top 8 of my power rankings list, sitting in 8th position are the Dolphins. That's the second time in 3 weeks that they've leaked over 34 points. That's something that needs to be rectified. And they do get Felicia Kofusi back next weekend, which is going to help them dramatically. In saying that, it's yin and yang because Kenny Bromwich is missing. So, but the Dolphins, for me, I think they've been a better side than the Roosters, for example, who they are above. Who they have not been better, in my personal opinion, so far are the Melbourne Storm. Yeah, strange way of thinking about chucking in Munster into the fullback position. I get that Nick Meaney was not playing in fullback, but I don't know. I guess I would have done something different because Munster's just been absolutely superb in that 5/8 position. And I guess a little bit of that was missing from his game and from the entire Melbourne Storm's game plan on Friday night. Going into 6th position, and that is the New Zealand Warriors. They're still leaking points, and even though they got the victory against North Queensland this past weekend, they dropped a lot of ball. They were pretty scrappy, bro, and they've got the absolute test of tests next Tuesday, and I would hazard to say that it's probably the game of the round next weekend. Storm versus Warriors at Amy Park on Anzac Day. Absolutely massive. But as for now, New Zealand Warriors, while they sit third on the NRL ladder, I've got them down in 6th because they still need a bit to work on. Even though they broke their slow starts this weekend against the Cowboys. Glad to help you as Warriors fans. Shifting into 5th position, Manly Ring of Seagulls. Really nice effort in that first half anyway. And yeah, stop-start affair, but really good to see that the boys dug in deep and put in the shoulders and defended well against a Melbourne Storm outfit that have been going all right over the past few weeks. Going into my top 4 on the power rankings list, I've got the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. A really good win against the Sydney Roosters. The Roosters completed at about 80% on Friday night. And if it wasn't for their own mistakes, man, Sharks would have been in a little bit more trouble. But I got to say, bro, the back three, by and large, were very, very safe. And Nico Hines, man, he rediscovered his 2022 form for sure. Going into 3rd position, I've got the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Much is the case. I did hear a snippet from Bloke in a Bar, and it's just something I can't help but agree with, have the same wavelength on, is that first half of South Sydney is what I've been seeing, what I've been feeling from them for 3 years now. I feel like maybe a little bit more than that. They've got the weapons. They could explode at any moment, but they don't. Well, they did. They did in that second half big time, bro. They looked super dangerous. And I cannot wait to see what they do next Thursday night. I'll tell you what, I did say Storm Warriors might be the game of the round. This might be the game of the round, though. They are taking on the Penrith Panthers at home. Rabbitohs versus Panthers next Thursday night. What an absolute blockbuster that's going to be. But the Penrith Panthers, while they had themselves a scrappy affair, you can't deny defensively what they have achieved so far in 2023. And Nathan Cleary just steering the ship home, bro. So well done to Panthers. And of course, the most informed team of the competition so far after 7 rounds, I should say. Oh my God, typo much. 7 rounds, I should have said. After 7 rounds are the Brisbane Broncos. Yeah, sorry about the typo, but you know what I mean. After 7 rounds, I've got the Brisbane Broncos as the most informed team of the competition. Oh man, when you see a typo, you can't help it just freaking go along with it, fair dinkum. But man, aren't the weeks all just molding into one now? Let's go into the chats now. I just want to say hello to Flash Blue. Hello, Will NRL. Hello, man. Thank you very much, man. Faraz is in the chat. I don't know whether Sin Bin was 22 points scored, and even then Walsh tries to missed tackles by the forwards before. Yeah, true. Brandon Smith has some of his good moments and then complete spins out. Yep, absolutely, bro. And Faraz also says, to be fair, the Wires did not have no TMM and Egan, but it's not the Storm game that gets to show if the premiership threat or not. Yeah, absolutely. And credit to him so far. And what have we got here? Flash Blue says, only 4 teams I support to win the grand final: Raiders, Broncos, Eels, and Warriors and Knights. Well, there's few people in here that can't get the numbers right tonight. Fair dinkum. All right, so let's go into the team of the week now, in my opinion. And look, I got to show a little bit of love to Murray Taulagi. I think he made a huge difference to the Cowboys. Even though we still lost, I think Murray Taulagi has been sorely missed. Ronaldo Mulitalo at the back was as safe as a bank. He scored a try in that game against the Roosters. And then Reece Walsh at fullback just keeps on keeping on, and he is joint leader on the Dally M leaderboard alongside Harry Grant and teammate Payne Haas. The center combination of round 7 for me in 2023 is Siosifa Talakai and Campbell Graham. Talakai, bro, without some of his carries coming out of their own end, without some of the shit work that he had to do, I thought he was exceptional. I really thought Talakai made a huge difference and is exactly what they needed, the Sharkies, to defeat the Sydney Roosters. And Campbell Graham is continuing on his exceptional 2023 season. And going along with Rabbitoh's Sharks flavors, bro, Cody Walker at 5'8", fair dinkum, bro. The ball is just a magnet to him, or he is a magnet to the ball. It's just amazing how many times he scores those sort of wacky tries, man. And then Nico Hines, I mean, he had a decent first half, but that second half, he absolutely roared back into life. Going into the front row now, and look, man, I got to say that the hookers beside Damien Cook this weekend, not a whole lot stood out to me. A shout out to Harry Grant and Lachlan Croker, but I do think that Blake Brayley has had an underappreciated effort this past weekend in round 7, not round 6. And I've got Blake Brayley as the hooker of the weekend, and alongside Jake Trebojevic, who just got stuck in with Manly. And then, of course, Payne Haas, who is a co-leader in the Dally M leaderboard. And then going into the back row now, for me, Isaiah Yeo was crucial to the victory against the Knights. Tyson Frizzell, however, I think he's having half a renaissance. I think he's having his best season in about 2 years. I thought he was fantastic. And then Homale Olakawatu, bro, not doing any harm to his rep chances over the weekend. And then going into my interchange bench, I got to show some love to Sebastian Kris, bro. Sebastian Kris for the Canberra Raiders was everywhere. And I'm sort of feeling like I want to make a video on him over the next week or so. I think he is just, I think he's really developing into a cult hero, if he isn't one already, down in Canberra. Regan Campbell-Gillard was fired out of a cannon on Sunday afternoon. Same too with Spencer Leniu. Spencer Leniu played about 35 minutes, and I think he's had one of the best performances of his career against the Newcastle Knights this past weekend. And then Davey Mawali might have had the best game he's ever had as well. He was super impressive against the Dolphins, bro. And that's something that I've seen, or a lot of us have seen, in Davey Mawali over the past few years. And he's suffered an injury or a whack in confidence because he is a young man, but struck me freaking pink. The combination of Hame Sele and Davey Mawali, bro, something to look forward to big time, or even Totola and Mawali big time for when Burgess decides to jump or retire, sort of thing. So that's my team of the week. And now for the main event. But before I do, I'm just going to dive quickly back into the chat. Just going to say hello to Yahoo Frem. Hey, man, just hang on 1 second and I'll get to that. I'll get to your question in just a second. We've got Flash Blue. Can't wait to see Walsh in Queensland colours. Ooh. We've got Jacko Hire says, hi, Sammy lad. Thought you may have gone into mourning here in Taumalolo is out for a couple of months. You see the bags underneath my eyes, mate. We've got Joshua Stokes. If Cody Walker can take out his anger, he's a fun player to watch. Some would argue he is a fun player to watch, even when he's angry. Will, NRL, the Cows need to win next week over the Knights to be safe, in my opinion. Oh, man. Paddy G, how are you, gorgeous? Honey, I'm doing all right, mate. We got Faraz, Sam. It's early, but anything you regret from your ladder? For me, it's the Eels top four. Got fooled by the team on paper with the forward pack and took the risk on trusting Hodgson would be a massive. Yeah, man. I'll get to that question. I'll get to that question later. Please remind me. But I would say at the moment, maybe not having the Broncos in was a pretty large oversight at the moment. Actually, I'd probably say the Brisbane Broncos for us. Now, indeed, it is time for the main event. So we are 7, not 6. We are 7 rounds into the NRL 2023 season. And about this time is when fans and pundits and experts come out and give their opinion on who should play for New South Wales and or Queensland. And I like State of Origin. I've attended a State of Origin game. I'm going to this year's Queensland State of Origin match. It's just talking about it in the month of January just really grinds my gears. I am one of those people that there is such thing as talking about State of Origin way too early. But I think now the time is right. A quarter of the season has now come and gone, and this team is my team. It is not a prediction. I'm not trying to get inside the heads of Brad Fittler or Billy Slater. This is my team. It's not a prediction. This is how I would do things based off form. And we're going to start with the New South Wales Blues, ladies and gents. So please leave your comments down below. Tell me if you agree, disagree. But I'm going to get into my New South Wales team. My New South Wales team, not predicted team. This is my team based off form alone. So going in to the State of Origin camp now. Look, we know that James Tedesco is the captain. I'm going to reveal the back three first for the New South Wales Blues. We know James Tedesco is the captain. He will be full back unless, touch wood, he's injured. And I hope that's not the case. So without further ado, this is my back three for game one that's taking place in Adelaide. I have got myself James Tedesco at fullback, Brian To'o on one wing, because he has been there and done that. He has stayed solid throughout 2023. And there is a question mark on who should fill that spot on the other side of the wing for the New South Wales Blues. And Josh Adokar, I probably would have picked until he did in his knee. And Joseph Akuso Suali'i, I don't think, while he is a physical specimen, he is tough as nails at such a young age. He's doing such a good job. But to see what Campbell Graham did on the wing for the Kangaroos in the World Cup, to see how Campbell Graham has gone so far in 2023, I think Campbell Graham's form is going to pip Joseph Suali'i, and I think Campbell Graham is much deserved to play on the wing for the New South Wales Blues. And now we go into the center combination for the New South Wales Blues, and I think it's everyone's center combination for the Blues, and that is, excuse the South Park treatment here, the copy screenshot paste stuff, Latrell Mitchell and Tom Trbojevic. I think that is just simple. I think it's straight to the point. I think that's what everybody wants to see. I think that will even happen, but that's my team. That's how I would do it as well, Mitchell and Tom Trbojevic. So now we get to the one of the real big questions, if not the biggest question that surrounds the New South Wales Blues this year. There are three options in the halves. We've got Nathan Cleary, who is arguably the form halfback of the comp. We've got Jerome Luai, who's been his partner in crime for years now and has won a shield over the years. And we've also got the rise of Nicho Hynes. What to do, dude. This is not an easy decision, but I have to show a bit of respect to Jerome Luai. I would continue to keep Jerome Luai in the 5'8" position. Of course, if the time comes in the middle of May when teams are selected, if Nicho Hynes has accrued 30 Dally M points in 2 weeks sort of thing, and Jerome Luai has done almost nothing, if that's the case, obviously Hynes would be called in as an audible. But right now, I would continue to go with Jerome Luai and have him partnered up with Nathan Cleary. And that's no disrespect to Hines. I just think that's the tough call that Brad Fittler faces, and I would show a bit of respect towards Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary. Now, going into the front row, and boy, howdy, there's a couple, not a couple, there's a good, strong handful of forwards for New South Wales that are in some rip roaring form in 2023. And there's also the question on who should be the hooker for New South Wales. Reece Robson is in contention, but unfortunately, the Cowboys are just about anchoring the bottom of the ladder at the moment, so that may rule him out of the 17, not the squad. So my front row for the New South Wales Blues in game number 1, Payne Haas is one of the first selected in this team, undoubtedly. Damien Cook. I think Damien Cook, in a way, has been underrated himself. I think he's had a really strong year. Maybe he's had one game where he's a little bit too quiet that led to one of South Sydney Rabbitohs' losses. But I think Damien Cook has done enough to keep his jersey in a jersey number 9, man. And Jake Travojevic, well, I mean, we all know the disaster that was when he wasn't selected in game number 1 last year, and then he came back in game 2 and was just about the best player on the paddock. So that would be the way I would start things. And now this is the hardest. This is the hardest part. Well, the biggest question was in the halves for the Blues. The hardest part is in the back row for the New South Wales Blues. We've got the likes of Liam Martin and Angus Crichton, who have been injured or have been away trying to heal up. And therefore, there's not a whole lot of form to go off on. So you got to dig a little bit deeper. Who are some of the informed back rowers in the competition so far? Well, I'll tell you 2 of the 3 slots that I've got filled up in the back row so far. Cameron Murray is absolute lock. Apologies for that. Apologies for that. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do is show you the options that we've got. So these are some of the options that we've got to fill up that second slot in the second row. Hudson Young, Angus Crichton, Tyson Frizzell, Liam Martin, Ola Kawatu, and Ryan Madison. A plethora of options there. And, you could choose Liam Martin or Angus Crichton to just go in automatically. But based off of form alone, I have got to go with Homali Olakawatu to fill in that slot. And some people out there might say, what Olakawatu starting, would you not have him come off the bench? I think you could handle the physicality. I'd want him out there immediately. Now, of course, there is the discussion point about Angus Crichton and when he is going to return, and it could be next week on Anzac Day, I should say. So if that's the case, look, Angus Crichton, Isaiah Yeo, and Cameron Murray, man. Angus Crichton was just about the most in-form second rower on the planet just before the final series, during that game against South Sydney in the finals, and also bleeding into the World Cup. Angus Crichton was just about the most informed edge forward on the planet during the World Cup. And unfortunately, he's had to face his demons, fight his demons as well. And look, if Angus Crichton hits the ground running, I would automatically lean into Angus Crichton. Homalia Olakawatu, though, however, for me, has been the most informed, one of the 2 informed second rows of the comp that should deservedly find himself with a Blues jersey. So my interchange bench, if Homale Olakawatu is selected to start in the second row, is going to be Appy Coruscant, Regan Campbell-Gillard, Junior Polo, Liam Martin if he's fresh, and Nico Hines as 18th man. You've got to have Nico Hines in there. I'd keep Appy Coruscant as jersey 14. It worked well with Damien Cook last year. The Parramatta pillars of strength in RCG and Junior Polo should absolutely remain the starting front rowers, and Liam Martin, and it's either Liam Martin or it's a Olakawatu or even Angus Crichton mixture. So, but however, based off form so far, I would go with Olakawatu to start, and I'd probably go with Liam Martin to come off the bench. So that's my team. So I've got James Tedesco, Brian Toto, and Campbell Graham as the back three. My centre pairing is going to be Mitchell and Trbojevic. I'm going to give Luai another crack and have him partner Cleary in the halves. My front row is Cook, Haas, and Jake Trbojevic. And then the back row, a really, really tough decision, man. But I am going to go at the moment based off form, Isaiah Yeo, Cameron Murray, and Homale Olakawatu. And then coming off of the bench for me is Appy Coruscant, RCG, Junior Polo, Liam Martin, and then Nico Hines in there and as 18th man. Just going to shift into the comments now. I'd love to hear and see your opinions. Joshua Stokes, I'm not going to lie, so far, Swell E has been fairly disappointing. That's just the young man trying to find his way, and he's got that much freaking drama surrounding him. Will NRL and Adam Reynolds, look, man, unfortunately, Nathan Cleary is the guy you want to focus on. You want to harness all of his powers to try and get New South Wales to win the next 6 or 7 in a row. And I think Adam Reynolds just focusing all of his energies and time into the Brisbane Broncos is only going to be a good thing. And yes, Flash Blue, you did beat me to the punch. Jack Whiten is done with rep footy. What are my thoughts? It's so I admit that Jack Whiten probably wasn't even going to be on my best 17, to be honest with you. I just don't think he's had the form so far in 2023. While he could just automatically just slot into State of Origin and ignite, I just don't think he's had the form. And I think the likes of a Campbell Graham, Appy Coruscant, and the like, I think are better suited to this year, in my opinion. So Jack Whiten wasn't even going to be in my team, but it still makes the decision by Whiten rather startling as well. So look, Canberra Raiders fans, you're not going to miss out on White. You don't need to be fearful about him copying an injury in State of Origin this year anyway, depending on where he goes starting from next year for the next few years onwards. So Jack Whiten retiring from representative footy, I mean, he's done everything except win a premiership, and that's where every piece of his energy is going to go towards now for the next 3 or 4 seasons with whatever club he chooses to go for. So congratulations and well done to Mr. Jack Whiten. He was the best player on the field in game number 1 last year. I just personally wouldn't have selected him to be as jersey 14. Even though Appy Coruscant was with the West Tigers, I think Appy Coruscant could help the New South Wales Blues out more by giving Damien Cook a 15-minute spell on the bench and then coming on and playing his craft as well. So, Jack Whiten, absolutely wild decision from Whiten, but congratulations and all the best to him. Is anyone else still on Murray Yo? I am. I absolutely am. Jack a hero, bit of a wobble there, Sammy. Oh, of course, mate. Always. Hudson Young has to be in the squad. Oh, he'll be in the squad. Josh Reynolds? Oh, I don't think so, mate. And Dylan Walker could go well at 14. He is one of the better utilities going around at the moment, isn't he? We're just going down now. We've got Jason Reeder up the Maroons. Hell yeah, dude. Stuart Butcher. If the Cowboys lose next game, in my opinion, I doubt they'll make finals. It's looking horrible at the moment. They look predictable in attack when it finally freaking clicks. Best 13s in the game in order, in my opinion. Look, I might save that for another day, with all due respect. But best 13s in the game in order, I genuinely think that Isaiah Yeo is the best. Is the best lock in the game at the moment, and not far behind is Cameron Murray. There's some cracking locks in the game at the moment. So I've just revealed who my team is for New South Wales. I'd like to now show you guys, if you allow me, to show you my Queensland State of Origin side. So we'll go into the back three first for the Queensland Maroons, and this is automatically tough. The back three, there are so many options for Billy Slater to choose from. And look, based off form, how can I choose Kalen Ponga when he's only played a game and a half for the Newcastle Knights, and that game and a half wasn't very impressive? Of course, if he's back next week and he remains fit, of course he is going to be the fullback for Queensland. I don't have any doubt about that. But based off form this year alone, this is a really tricky decision, and I'm pretty happy with going down the route of the following. I've got Reece Walsh in at fullback at the moment, unless if Kalen Ponga absolutely roars back into life. Selwyn Cobbo keeps his spot on one edge, and I've got Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow on the other wing as well. So last year, we had the likes of Murray Taulagi, we had the likes of Corey Oates and Xavier Coates playing on the wing, but I don't think Coates has hit that form yet. I do think Hammer can leap just as well as Xavier Coates can. Obviously, Oates is still out for the next 3 or 4 weeks now. I think Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow needs to be fit in. He needs to fit into this Queensland side, and I think while it is certainly far away from what he's been doing over the past 4 months or so now, training and during the regular season, I think Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow can play on the wing, and he did a pretty damn good job on Tom Trbojevic about 2 seasons ago in the 2021 State of Origin series, where he contained Tom Trbojevic, and we all know how good Turbo was in 2021. So that's the way that I would do things, of course, if Kalen Ponga is fresh and he is able to show the form that he showed in the State of Origin series last year. I'm going to go Kalen Ponga, and sorry for that, not Xavier Coates. I'm going to go with Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow. Sorry about that. So Cobbo and Hammer are my wingers for Queensland, and Kalen Ponga will probably be selected at fullback. But based on form, I am going to go with Reece Walsh. The centre combination for the Queensland Maroons side, I think it's pretty self-evident. Valentine Holmes and Dane Gagai, while Holmes and Gagai are in clubs that are, at the lower end of the ladder, Holmes' form still this year has been pretty damn good. And Dane Gagai is going really well for Newcastle this season as well. So for me, I'd go Gagai and Valentine Holmes in the centre combination. For the halves pairing for Queensland, Daly Cherry Evans and Cameron Munster, I think that just is automatic. I think that's just fair enough. Going into the front rowers now, I love Ben Hunt in the hooking position for State of Origin. Should always remain the halfback in club footy, and when he does get a chance one day at halfback in State of Origin again, can't wait to see him go. But for me, I'd go Big Tino for Asuamala-Aui, Lindsay Collins and Ben Hunt. I think Lindsay Collins for the Sydney Roosters has been brilliant for them this season so far. And then we've got a bit of a headache again in the back row position, this time now for Queensland. So how would I do things? Well, I think it's kind of easy when you really think about it. Felicia Kofusi, if he doesn't get himself suspended, his start to the year has been tremendous. And when he comes back this weekend, he's just going to rip and tear. Let's just hope that he doesn't cop an injury or suspension. Tom Gilbert has just been an absolute war horse, and I think he should start the game instead of coming off the bench. I think defensively, attitude-wise, I think he can set a really good standard by starting. And then Pat Carrigan, I think, is just one of the more obvious selections from either side in this year's State of Origin. And then going onto the interchange bench for the Queensland side. We've got Harry Grant starting at 14, or being there at 14. Ruben Cotter in jersey 15 for me. Josh Papali'i in 16. And then it's a real flip of the coin. Jai Arrow returned this past weekend and reminded everybody how good form he's got. And so I'd go I'd either go Jai Arrow as 17th, or I'd go Kurt Capewell as 17th, and then you interchange Arrow and or Capewell as well. Tom Dearden has been 18th man, or was 18th man last year for 2 games, and then had a fantastic debut in game number 3. But I just think that with the likes of Ruben Cotter and Harry Grant off the bench, Ben Hunt as well, I think there's enough options there that if anybody goes down in a particularly uh, interesting area on the paddock, I think they got enough coverage there already, and I think they need a little bit more size coming off the bench. And Jai Arrow was fantastic as front rower this past weekend. Josh Papali'i is obviously the veteran, and then Kurt Capewell and Ruben Cotter can come on and do their own thing as well. So those those are my teams. That's New South Wales and Queensland. Done and dusted, in my opinion. So I'll just go into the chat just very quickly. Excuse me. So Flash Blue, I'm fearful if he leaves Canberra Raiders. I think everyone is, mate. Let's go deeper. Cody Games PlayStation. Hey, man, thank you very much for tuning in, dude. I really appreciate it. Stuart Butcher, is Walsh overrated, or does he deserve his flyers? No, he's not overrated at all, mate. No. And look, I wasn't a fan of what he did to the New Zealand Warriors last year, not in any way, shape, or form. But no, Walsh, just even in that trial against the North Queensland Cowboys, I think it raised everybody's eyebrows and went, "Oh, this dude's on. This dude is very much on." He will play Origin one day, but I think if Kalen Ponga, again, if he comes back this weekend and has a rip-roaring match and then maintains health throughout the next month or so, I think he'll be the fullback. And unfortunately, Reece Walsh will find himself his 14th, and maybe his 14th, if they choose to go differently. I wouldn't even have Reece Walsh in the 1 to 18, just quietly, just because I do think there's enough coverage there, and they just need a little bit more size coming off of the bench as well. For Raz, bro, he's legit tight on the Dahlia. Maybe a lot of hype, but when you play for a club like Brizzy, yeah. No, I think Faraz and I agree in that respect. Stuart Butcher, Capewell just has really good defenses playing at centre for Queensland if needed. Yeah, he can fill in second row, centre, front row, lock. I do think Kurt Capewell has done enough to warrant a selection in the State of Origin arena this season. Joshua Stokes says, I've got Queensland 2-1, but keen to see the likes of Graham and Walsh hopefully debut for their states. I think Graham is going to debut for New South Wales. I don't think Walsh is going to get there. I think maybe next year or the season after will be that time for him. But I just don't think Walsh is going to get selected this year. But if he does, great. It's not like I don't want him to play. Obviously, as I said before, he is the most informed fullback for Queensland to start the season. And based off form alone, I think he should absolutely play fullback. But I'm predicting pretty heavily that Kalen Ponga, when he comes back this weekend, if he maintains healthy, and I touch wood that he does, I pray that he does, is going to nab that fullback position, because you can't put in a performance that like what he did last year in State of Origin and not be looked at again. Like fair income, he was amazing for Queensland last year. Flash Blue just reminding everyone that Raiders are going to be the 2023 grand final winners. If they do, if Canberra Raiders win the comp this year, oh, far out. Joshua Stokes, should Stags get a look in the squad? Katoni Stags absolutely should get a look into the squad. But so far as 1 to 18, unless if there is catastrophe, again, touch wood, unless if there is catastrophe with Turbo and Latrell and other positions, man, I don't think Katoni Stags will get onto the paddock or be selected in the 1 to 17 or 18. But so far as the squad, I think he's actually having a really consistent season. At the start of the year, I made a video about Katoni Stags, and it was all in a positive spirit. I just said, look, I think he's underachieving. I think the entire rugby league world wants to see Katoni Stags absolutely explode. And I don't think he's exploded, but he's having himself a very good, consistent season so far in 2023. Faraz Alem, why are the Cowboys struggling at the moment? Why are the Cowboys struggling at the moment, Faraz Alem asks. Oh man, this is a minefield to walk over, mate. Forwards, we injury wise, they're all in the forward pack, mate. They're all in the forward pack, and it's a huge ask to go down into your reserves, the young men that are coming through and saying, "Oi, we need your help to go run at players like Jake Trbojevic or Payne Haas to get us over the advantage line. You're only 19 years old. You got the legs. Go hit it up in front of one of those men's faces. No, thank you." But yeah, the forward pack, they're not dominating like they were last year. Um, yeah, I'm a bit disappointed in the forward pack efforts, and just the combination of Dearden and Townsend, man, it's clunky at the moment, bro. It's clunky at the moment, but I think the main reason is that the forwards are just we're losing. We're absolutely losing. We've got Faraz, are you a Queenslander or New South Wales? I'm not really either, to be honest with you. I just like the game. Being that I now live in Queensland, call me a Queenslander. But I don't really, I don't barrack for either side, to be honest with you. I'm just happy to sit on that fence and watch a terrific game of footy like there have been over the past few years. Queensland clean sweep from Flash Blue. Fair enough. We got BKR Sport in the house. How you going, matey? Thank you very much for giving up your time and dropping in and saying g'day. Hard for the Raiders to win the comp when the Titans have that locked up. Of course, a neutral opinion from Big Chaos Sport once again. Oh, no. Oi. None of that, Flash Blue. Let's not have any bullshit. Faraz Alam did in future Queensland halves with Walker. Look, I really do want to see Walker play Origin. Like, he's having a good year this year. Yeah, he's not. It's like he's tapping on that glass ceiling, Sam Walker, and he's just not breaking through. He's gone through one level, admittedly, and that was 2 seasons ago. But yeah, no, he's having a good year, Sam Walker, and Dearden and Walker together in the future. I think it's a bit of fait accompli. But yeah, Sam Walker, bro, just I want to see more out of Walker than Tom Dearden. Thanks, bro. Stuart Butcher, how does Mam not get points for the Broncos? Stuart Butcher, oh man, we've got Broncos supporters in this chat as well, man. Bro, I don't know how Ezra Mam wasn't on top of the Dalian leaderboard after 4 rounds, man. I reckon the first month of this season, Ezra Mam was the most, just about the most informed player of the comp. I thought Ezra Mam the first month was amazing. Yeah, dude, I don't know why, man. I think it's a real mystery. Jacko Hero Cows look like they thought 2022 would just happen again. I was hoping it would too. Flash Blue Titans were in my top 8 list, but not anymore. That could change as the season goes on. Absolutely it could. Stuart Butcher, would Mam get any chance for Origin in the future as 14? Oh man, he'd be fighting for a starting 5'8" halfback spot. If Sam Walker or Tom Dearden ever go down. Oh, absolutely, Mam could absolutely play. Origin, absolutely. Faraz, is Titans Dolphins a rivalry? Well, we got BKR Sport. Cowboys have a solid team, just like seems like it's a hangover from 2022. Look, I don't think it is. Besides Broncos, the Dolphins don't have a rivalry with anyone yet. They've pinched a couple of players from the Cowboys and the Titans and whatnot. And just because there's the M1 that divides them, it's not a rivalry in my opinion. They still got to play their 2 games against each other. And if Dolphins win one of those 2 games, and if it's a bit spicy, I think there could one day be a rivalry, but at the moment, Faraz, I don't think Titans and Dolphins is a rivalry, but I do think there's a chance that it could develop into one of the 2 rivalries. Like, I don't think Cowboys and Dolphins are ever going to be a rivalry. Like, just because Dolphins are going to play games in Rockhampton, like that's right on the border of, between North and South, and any further than that, maybe. But I don't think it's a rivalry between Cowboys and Dolphins or Titans and Dolphins just yet. Definitely Broncos and Dolphins, though. Absolutely. Faraz, I swear I laughed myself. I can't be the only one who thought he's our best in our win shocked. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Joshua Stokes says 8 to 11. Yo, dude, true. True. And look, at the start of the year, Cooper Cronk and a couple of other experts, I think Michael Ennis, they said, yeah, I could see Dolphins finishing 10th. And I went, turn it up. Surely the Dolphins don't finish 10th this year. That's way too. Well, what the hell do I know when I'm not getting paid the big bucks to sit on a Fox League chair? They tipped it. I tipped it to finish second last. And I tipped the Dragons to finish with the wooden spoon. So, yeah. Flash Blue, I think Cowboys lack depth because of the players. They don't lack depth. There's players. There's another angle that I could really project on about the reasoning as to why the Cowboys aren't going as well in 2023. But I've really got to hold off on that. But there is depth there. They're not getting selected. I want them to be selected. And if I was the coach, I would be absolutely injecting them into the 1 to 17 already and leaving a couple out. BKR Sport, Redcliffe is the Wish version of the Gold Coast. I know where I'd rather live. Oh, there you go. Well, maybe there might be a rivalry now if BKR Sport keeps talking that smack, bro. Joshua Stokes, Gold Coast, better state for sure, but Broncos and Cows better. Well, I don't know about Cowboys. Sorry, Sam. It's all right, bro. It's all right. Every NRL game should be treated as a rivalry by those involved. Or, I mean, always get up for the games that you play. Absolutely, bro. I mean, but as far as being a rivalry, unless I mean, look at the Eels and Panthers, for example. That while they're Western Sydney Derby, cousins, they're not too far apart. And it's always been built that way. A lot of people didn't buy into it being a rivalry for the longest time up until the 2021 season, where Parramatta had the number of Penrith Panthers, and now we've seen them play in a grand final. We've seen them play Golden Point extra time this year. It's now a rivalry, this Western Sydney Derby. So no, I mean, each to their own. It's your opinion. For me, there are matches that are rivalry games. For me personally, like, you may disagree, but while the Cowboys and Broncos is absolutely top 5 rivalries in the NRL, I look at Cowboys and Sharks. And for me personally, besides Broncos, I do consider the Sharks the second biggest rivals of the Cowboys, and I do treat it as a rivalry. We've played some absolute bangers, and there's been some spicy, peppery contests between the two for over a decade now. So it just each to their own. It's everybody. Yeah, it's just each to their own. Pardon me. I've written off the Dogs to play finals. Too many injuries. I'm absolutely with you. Thank you, Flash Blue. Even as a Broncos fan, still not happy with the slow starts. Yep, Jack O'Hare. I tipped Dolphins to finish 12th or 14th. Well, you did better than me, mate. You absolutely did better than me. Stuart Butcher, am I missing the hammer? Yes, I am. I'll leave it at that. I absolutely am. Do you think whilst Broncos Cows is a rivalry, it's not as toxic as Roosters South? It's absolutely the case. That's absolutely correct, Mr. Butcher. It's a rivalry built a lot on respect. The way that the Cowboys have been able to not even the ledger, because they're still about 20 wins away from evening the ledger, but the way that the Cowboys have been able to make it a contest, and it was the original, well, not the original, but it was the real first Queensland battle, all Queensland battle that put it on the map for the NRL and its fans. It's not as toxic and it doesn't have as many years. But yeah, Roosters South remains the best rivalry in the NRL. Absolutely. And forever will be as well. And Broncos Cowboys is top 5 easily, possibly top 3 in some cases. Jacko Hero, why Peyton started Granville in the middle on Saturday was strange. He's starting to look lost for answers. God damn it, you're all pushing me into saying something that I don't want to say. Jake Granville starting at prop was absolutely mind-boggling. There are so many other players like young Riley Price, or a fella that I've been talking about for the longest time, Taniela Seijurugu. We need size. We need a little bit of X factor and wild play and chucking in Granville. While I love Granville, he's not a front rower, like he is a Mr. Fix-It, but he's not a front rower. So get a big bastard like Riley Price, get a big bastard like Taniela Drugu to start in the front row and have him just rip, absolutely rip and tear, bro. But to choose Jake Granville in at prop, he did get restricted in his running meters this weekend. I think he had 10 runs for 70 meters or something like that. Flash Blue on my top 8 list: Raiders, Bronx, Panthers, Eels, Manly. Oh, you got the bloody Eels bloody roaring right up the ladder, don't you, Flash Blue? Cows and Sharks, Fraz says, have some of the best finals matches, and of course that controversial loss with the tackle count. Please don't remind me. Faraz, hey, Itaka Hero says loves watching the Hammer play. I as I said before, man, if you all caught my Instagram page, which you can all go check out, just type in Wobble Enjoy Sports into Instagram. I've got my Instagram page there. I've got a snippet of me talking to Hold the Ball, and I just gutted. I never wanted to see the back of Hammer, and we are experiencing it, and I never wanted it to happen, mate. Top 3 halves in 2023. Well, you got to go with the Broncos. You got to go with South Sydney for where they are, and you got to go with Penrith. That's where I'd go. Jack O'Hare says, "Come on, Sammy, is that it? Get it off your chest, bro." Nah, I'm just Jacko, you evil bugger. Jacko, you evil bugger. I am just a little bit. It's so hard, and it's almost wrong to be this confused and a little bit frustrated with the Dally M Coach of the Year after the first 7 rounds. He is choosing players, and he's choosing players to play in positions that have a proven track record of not frigging working. And you've got a Papua New Guinean international, a Fijian international. You got the son of an absolute rugby league legend, all waiting in the shadows. Now, I admit that Sylvester Namo is the man that I'm talking about when it comes to PNG. I admit that Sylvester Namo probably won't be allowed to play until midway through the year. But you've got Granville and you've got Mitch Dunn playing in the front row, and they're not front rowers, or they've got a proven track record of not executing it well in the front row. Yeah, man. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to Mitch Dunn if he ever sees this, but like, he's been in and around the squad since 2018, and he's got a proven track record of just. There's been so much hype, and he was one of the Queensland Cup's best players only a couple of weeks ago, but it's just not working with Mitch Dunn. And to know that we've got Sylvester Namo, Taniela Drugu, and Riley Price, just to name a few, down in the reserves, get them up and give us some fresh blood. Give us some big, wild dudes, man. So I'm just a little bit confused and a little bit frustrated, like a lot of Cowboy supporters are, with how Todd Payton is going about selecting his team. In saying that, we do have a massive, not compared to Bulldogs, but we do have a massive injury list in the forwards. So that is going against us. And now that we lose Taumalolo for we lose Taumalolo for 6 weeks, we need to start thinking out of the box now to try and keep our season alive up until the point where Luciano Leilua and Jason Taumalolo come back into the fold. And yes, I'm Luciano Leilua, mate. Far out. All right. Fraz Lamb, you said Ricky for most improved for the Broncos. So far, so good. Jordan Ricky, Fraz, mate. I did that stream with BKR Sport, and I said this is the year that he's got to break out. And in your opinion, Faraz, and if you're a Brisbane Broncos fan watching this, in your opinion, has Jordan Ricky broken out? I think he's getting close. I don't think he's done it yet, but I think he's having quite a good year so far. A very good year, I would say. He's getting close to breaking out, man. Flash Blue, speak your mind. Sammy, don't hold back. Oh, man, sometimes you do. Faraz Lam, Sam, how's Suncorp been every time you've been up there? Well, I saw the Cowboys get pumped in the driving rain. That's a -1. I then saw the Battle of Brisbane, which was amazing. So that's a +1. And I saw the Raiders beat the Broncos a couple of weeks ago. So that's a +1. So it's been positive, bro. It's absolutely been positive. It's always been a great atmosphere as well. So, is it my favorite? No, I don't think Suncorp is my favorite stadium. I'd probably say Combank remains up there. It's so intimate. Combank Stadium, so intimate, bro. You get really up close and personal with them for sure, bro. Jack O'Hare says, Sammy, bro, you're right. Peyton is facing his toughest test of his short coaching career. Yeah, man. Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that. So, Faraz Lam, should Broncos target Whiten? I'll get back to you, mate. Give us a week or two to think about that one. Neem, a huge loss too. He is another I love watching. Oh, bro, Cowboy Kate Cornish, who you might know, said that Neem is a possibility of walking away with the Paul Bowman medal as Cowboys' best player of 2023. And I'll tell you what, he was in the freaking mix before he unfortunately copped that throat injury last weekend. So, yeah, dude, Griffin Neem, he is. I hope he is locked up, like even more so. I think he was locked up recently for a further 3 years, very recently, but I hope he's a Cowboy for life, like fair dinkum. Love the cut of his jib. Faraz, he's getting close, mate. The stats aren't showing too much overall, but even that first set of the Titans game, he made an impact with that chase. He's bringing aggression and close to the line is dangerous. Yo, true. True, I'm glad I'm on that. And yeah, and I'll tell you what, that's just about the bottom line too. It's still early days for everyone for sure. Jack Cohero says Whiten wants too much money to play center. Yeah, but then again, when he plays like how he did for the Blues last year, I mean, Valentine Holmes, excuse me, is playing at center for $1 million. So I don't know. I don't know. Broncos to end fifth in Faraz's opinion. Griffin Neem should come to the wise. Uh, is he asking for 1 million still, White? And I think so, mate. I think Jack Whiten is absolutely asking for that. But look, man, that offer that the Canberra Raiders have put forward through to Jack Whiten as well, $1.4 million a season for 4 years, starting next year. You got it. I think that's the deal. I think to be any more greedy than that is to steal a phrase from Denon Kemp's bloke in a bar, you don't believe in the Raiders. You don't believe that Canberra will ever win a premiership, and you would probably want to leave there. If you don't accept $1.4 million a season for 4 years, and Jack Whiten hasn't been particularly in the hottest of form to start 2023 and throughout patches of 2022, I think you're sending a huge message telling your teammates that you don't believe that they'll win a comp anytime soon, whether it's inadvertent or it's on purpose. I think if Whiten doesn't accept that offer, I think it's a massive slap. Not that he owes the Raiders anything or vice versa. It's just it would be a massive slap and disappointment if you ever left Canberra for sure, man. For Raz, what are my thoughts on the Golden Point talk and teams splitting the points? It's hard to say, man. Like, I grew up on Golden Point, you know. I think it was introduced in a game between Manly and Parramatta in 2003. And since then, there's always been a debate. There's always going to be a debate over it. I'm happy to. I mean, we got a draw about 2 weeks ago in Golden Point extra time, which was the correct result as well, just quietly. But yeah, no, I'm fine. And the other difference too is that Penrith won this in the first minute of Golden Point extra time. It'd be a completely different point of view if Penrith won it in the final play of Golden Point extra time, eh? But no, I'm Golden Point. I'm Golden Point extra time. That's the camp that I sit on. Jack O'Hare says Raiders have offered him 1.1 for 4 years, and he's thinking about it. Please, yeah. I thought it was 1.4. But even if it's 1.1, it's still an offer, bro, that anybody else would just about snap up, unless if you're someone like Tedesco or Latrell Mitchell. Yeah, no, I wouldn't even be paying Jack Whiten $1 million, like 900 grand. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, he's asking for a bit, isn't he? For Raz, Tiger's definitely getting the spoon. I think so. And thank you very much, Faraz, for tuning in, mate. Jacko Hero says, I hate Golden Point. A draw is actually a draw. Extra time in finals, no Golden Point. Yeah, wow, dude. No, and again, it's a really divisive conversation to have. Guys, thank you so much for just coming in and wobble your draws with me as I wobbled mine. So that was my State of Origin team list reveal, not predictions. Those are the team. That's the team that I'd go for. My power rankings list and my team of the week for round 7, not round number 6. And thank you all very much for the continuous support. And please remember that next week there is a pretty big announcement that I'm very, very excited for. I can't wait to talk to you more about it next week. So thank you very much, guys. Have a very nice evening, and I'll see you tomorrow for the Ace High Tips show. Take care. Adios.